It is Saturday, the 6th of July, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Today and tomorrow, we're talking about two songs from the same album that are parts 1 and 2 of each other. So we'll kind of be talking about both in both episodes, but more so focusing on, obviously, the one the episode's about. The band is Arcade Fire, and the songs are Sprawl 1 and Sprawl 2. Today we're talking about Sprawl 1, Flatland. Now, before we start, I just want to point out that I am aware of the accusations against Win Butler. I have seen kind of a divide in the fandom about whether people believe them or not, or care about them, but I'm obviously going to say that, it doesn't really matter. The reputation's kind of been ruined at this point. I just want to point out that I am aware of them, and I'm not defending him at all in this episode. I just want to talk about the music. So, with that out of the way, these two songs come from an album called The Suburbs from 2010, which is a concept album largely about Win and Will Butler growing up in the suburbs of Austin, Texas. These two songs, Sprawl 1 and 2, share some... they're quite musically different, but they share some themes and reference similar things. You'll understand as we listen to them. This first one's a lot slower and sadder, and the second one's more fast-paced. So we're going to listen to Sprawl 1, Flatland, now, and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. There it is. Pretty short and sweet, honestly. But there's a lot fit into that short song, those short 3 minutes. So like I said, this is a concept album about Win and Will Butler's upbringing in the suburbs of Austin, Texas. And this song in particular is about someone returning to the neighborhood they grew up in and kind of having these mixed feelings of not even really nostalgia, just kind of like not knowing what to think, not knowing what to feel, and remembering things from back then and being like, I kind of a disaffection, disillusionment with the whole idea, And the music itself is pretty spare, just guitar, bass, strings. I really like how the song sounds, though. The kind of and the bum 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 and the it all fits together really nicely, So let's go through the lyrics then. Took a drive into the sprawl to find the house where we used to stay. We couldn't read the number in the dark. He said, let's save it for another day. So the title, and as is referenced throughout the song, sprawl, right? It's referring to urban sprawl, it's what the suburbs are. It's spreading out of a city further than the city limits to just kind of dominate the countryside, which is usually just a bunch of fucking houses, maybe a few parks here and there. He takes a drive into the sprawl, which already makes it sound like he's going to get lost. To find the house where we used to stay. Not the house where we used to live, the house where we used to stay, which implies some distance to it, like not remembering it fondly or feeling detached from living there. It doesn't feel like I lived there, I just stayed there, Took a drive into the sprawl to find the places we used to play. It was the loneliest day of my life. You're talking at me, but I'm still far away. Yeah, this feeling of driving through the suburbs, looking for your house, looking for the playgrounds and the street corners and all that. And just feeling really lonely, just thinking about those times and feeling really lonely. It's a hell of a thing. Especially that you're talking at me, but I'm still far away. He means zoned out, like I'm far away. But also it's interesting because, like I said, driving into the sprawl feels like you're lost, like it almost feels like it is physically far away, Let's take a drive through the sprawl, through these towns they built to change. Then you said the emotions are dead. It's no wonder that you feel so estranged. So the other person who's with him, which could just be his brother, is saying the emotions are dead. It's soulless out here. And I don't know if that's referring to the fact that suburbs tend to all kind of look the same because all the houses are kind of uniform. They might have different colored doors and different colored roofs, but they mostly look the same. And so when you don't have any emotional attachment to the buildings, they're just buildings. And that could be what they mean by the emotions are dead. But it also could just mean like I said about the emotional attachment, you're not here anymore, so you don't have any emotional attachment here, so the emotions are dead. That's why you feel so estranged. It's not your house anymore, it's not your neighborhood anymore, Then it takes a hard turn. The cops shone their lights on the reflectors of our bikes, said, do you kids know what time it is? Well, sir, it's the first time I felt like something is mine, like I have something to give. So we cut in with a flashback here, thinking of a time when they were kids, out late at night, the cops showed up, said, do you kids know what time it is? Which is it's a very parenty thing to say, or it's a very adult thing to say. It's past your bedtime, it's past curfew, I also can't read the word reflector without thinking of the album Reflector by Arcade Fire. It's just a reflector And then that, like, the snarky response, it's the first time I felt like something is mine, like I have something to give. It's not written in quotation marks in the lyric booklet, unlike the cop's dialogue, so it's implied that this is not what he said in the moment, but what he's thinking now, right? And it kind of sounds like he's taking possession of what he used to have, right? Like, do you kids know what time it is? And smug younger him would be like, oh yeah, this is my territory, you know? And then the last verse, the last defender of the sprawl said, well, where do you kids live? Well, sir, if you only knew what the answer's worth, I've been searching every corner of the earth. It all ties up together so well at the end. I like that the cop is called the last defender of the sprawl. Like, he's the last bastion of quote-unquote hope here, right? So the well, where do you kids live implies that he wasn't satisfied with the previous answer, which is a little bit of nuance I enjoy there. But then present day him says, if you only knew what the answer is worth, I've been searching every corner of the earth. And so you've got like these first 3 verses about how disaffected he feels and how the emotions are dead and he feels estranged from this place that used to be his home. And then he thinks about the cop asking him where he lives and he says, I don't know what my home is anymore. If I don't feel at home here, where do I feel at home? It's a really sad lyric and a really interesting way to tie the whole song together. I just love the way it ends there with the answer's worth. I've been searching every corner of the earth. I love the way it just kind of, it's like letting the air out of the band, you know. I really like this song. It's a short one, but it's got some really interesting imagery you can really feel it. You can really, like, I know what suburbs look like. And I know what they feel like, and you read these lyrics or you hear the song and you can picture the houses he's driving past, the parks. You can picture the cops shining their lights on the reflectors of their bikes, you know. You can see everything happening in the song, and I think that's really important in something with such a sense of place as a concept album that's about a place. The concept is the place, right? I think it really conveys that really well. One of the things I'm going to say, which we'll go into more in Sprawl 2, but the first verse mentions we couldn't read the number in the dark, and in Sprawl 2 the chorus mentions needing the darkness. It's like in Sprawl 1, it's talking about darkness as like a bad thing, or at least a mysterious thing. You know, they couldn't read the number in the dark. He's talking about driving through and it's lonely, and then, you know, the cops shine lights on the reflectors of our bikes. The darkness is like a bad thing in this song, or at least a hindrance. And then the second song, it's different altogether, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But I just wanted to point that out while we're on this song, so you'll keep it in mind when you're listening to tomorrow's episode. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave a comment, give a like, hit subscribe, all that jazz. Tell a friend, tell your family, tell an enemy, tell your long lost cousin, tell whoever the fuck you want, tell random strangers on the street, tell people on Twitter, except don't. Because, you know the Groucho Marx joke, I would never want to be part of a club that would have me as a member? That's basically me with Twitter. It's like, I don't want people who have Twitter accounts to listen to this. Gross. I say, having a Twitter account. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
So let's, I forgot to open the lyrics. Like a dum-dum. Google, help me. Help me, Obi-Wan. Google, you're my only hope. Why did that sound like I was about to say, maybe have a few more cunt kids? You retract that part about my cunt fucking kids. I retract the part about your cunt fucking kids. I've already derailed this into 2 different weird outtakes. Okay. Which implies some distance to it, like not remembering it fondly. Fondingly?